High class. The Indus River Valley Civilization, also called the Harappan Civilization, is the earliest known urban culture of the Indian subcontinent. Now, the nuclear dates of the civilization appear to be about 2500 to 1700 BCE, though the southern sites may have lasted later into the second millennium BCE. But historians know less about the urban society of the Indus Valley in the third millennium, because than they do, for its contemporaries in the Mesopotamia region and Egypt, because of the absence of a written record that we can decipher. Yes, they had a written language, but we can't decipher it. But let's take a minute and talk about what we do know about the Indus River civilization. Villages had first appeared around 5000 BCE, sort of the Neolithic villages, and by 2 millennia later, these had spread eastward to the Indus River, where the fertile soil, again, riverine societies, supports an increase in wealth and trade and the construction of public buildings and fortified cities. And the region benefited from this predictable flooding coming from the Himalayan mountains, snow runoff. It was much more preferred here in the Indus Valley than the torrential monsoons that will plague the Ganges River plain. Farmers could plant things like wheat and barley after the waters receded, and they had tools to use in their cultivation. And as in Egypt and Mesopotamia, these food surpluses are going to allow the inhabitants to focus on different pursuits. So you're not going to have to spend so much of your time hunting food. Surplus of food, therefore, is going to support expanding populations. And populations will expand as it did in other city-states. And two of the more largest ones that we talk about in this area during this time is Harappa and the Mohenjo-Daro. The two largest, like I said, they each have over 35,000 citizens, up to 60,000 at any given time. Listen, these cities were much larger than the Mesopotamia city-states for sure. So the Harappan cities and towns had similar layouts with a fortified citadel and residential areas, and they typically had a main street with covered drainage. A lot of this was constructed with something that we take for granted, bricks. They really had an advancement of bricks, durable bricks. And the citadels that they built probably served as hubs for political and ritual activity, but it could also contain great baths. So they found a great bath in the excavation of Mohenjo-Daro. They had houses that could have private bathrooms, showers, and toilets, which drained to municipal sewer. So we kind of think of the Romans as the first to have these kinds of things, but they started it, definitely. Basic structures are there today, and there is continued archaeological excavation. However, again, we don't know as much about the Harappan civilization because so much of these settlements remain buried due to repeated flooding. Some of their civilization was lost over time to erosion, just modernization, like the railroads were built through some of their areas. And so also we know less about these people because of their language. We know they had language. We've actually found a 400 to 600 symbol script, but there's very few resources to study the language and to learn how they spoke and what was going on there. So the civilization's economy appears to be dependent significantly on trade, and this is going to be facilitated in major advances in transport technology. The Harappan civilization may have been the first to use a wheeled transport in the form of carts that are identical to those seen throughout South Asia today. It also appears they too built boats and watercrafts, but the trade focused, as this map indicates, focus on importing raw materials to be used in Harappan city workshops. They have found in their excavations minerals that came from Iran and Afghanistan. They came from lead. They found lead and copper from other parts of India. They found jade from China. Cedar wood was floated down the rivers from the Himalayas and Kashmir. And other trade goods are things like pots, gold, silver, beads, seashells, pearls, and gemstones, such as lapis lazuli and turquoise. And later we're going to find spices are going to become a major trading commodity of India. There was an extensive maritime trade network operating between Harappa and the Mesopotamia civilization. We know this. And Harappan seals and jewelry have been found in archaeological sites in regions of the Mesopotamia, like modern-day Iraq, Kuwait, Syria. And there was also thought that there was a long-distance sea trades over bodies of water, such as the Arabian Sea, the Red Sea, the Persian Gulf. They also used a system of weights and measurements to manage this complex trade system. The Mohenjo-Daro is also called the Mound of Dead, and it is a large urban site of the Harappan culture that they're continuing to excavate today. The view of the city demonstrates the layout of houses and the civic facilities and the sewers, and it's ongoing today. Harappans did not produce a king's list, so we're really unable to catalog a political history too. Jewelry found in these archaeological digs at Mohenjo-Daro, they found a lot of jewelry. Kind of looks like something you might wear today, maybe. But the standing figure in the center is the mother goddess. The Harappan religion remains a topic of speculation, but it's been widely suggested that the Harappans worshipped a mother goddess. And in contrast to Egypt and Mesopotamia civilizations, the Indus Valley civilization really seems to lack any temples or palaces that would give clear evidence of religious rites or specific deities, but we do know about the mother goddess. And they have found seals and such that show the swastika symbol, which is included in later Indian religions like Hinduism, Buddhism. But according to one scholar, every village has its own special guardian mother called Mata, and some 140 different mothers in all. And generally, there was going to be a male deity who protected them, like the female, from adverse and demons. But the mother is the favorite object of adoration. And in every village, the mother goddess personified the place and its soil, and she was prayed to for blessings such as children, good health, and animals. But the mother goddess was also feared, for she could bring about some terrible calamities such as pestilence if she was neglected or angered. And she sounds a lot like some mothers I know. The third item on this slide is the Dancing Girl of Mohenjo-Daro. Now, Dancing Girl is well regarded as a work of art. It's an iconic work of art from the time. And it was found by a British archaeologist at the turn of the 20th century, and its ownership is hotly debated. It is today held in the New Delhi Museum in India. However, a Pakistani lawyer in recent years has filed a petition to ask the government to claim this 5,000-year-old bronze statue from India and return her to Pakistan where she was found. You're going to find, we'll talk about other examples, class, where there are going to be demands for artifacts that were taken from archaeological excavations around the turn of the 20th century and sent to other places. And we're going to talk about some of those a little bit later. But according to the claim, Dancing Girl is to Pakistan what Da Vinci's Mona Lisa is to Europe. Some of the more famous archaeologists in the world have described it as one of the most captivating pieces of art from the Indus Valley site. And why? Well, the tiny bronze statue of a young woman is suggestive of two breakthroughs: that the Indus artist knew metal blending and casting, and that the well-developed Indus society had innovative dance and performing arts. Harappan seal stamps. These stamp seals of the Indus Valley culture are very distinctive and unique, and probably the best known artifacts from this civilization. They were cut from a soft stone, fired to a white color, and it made them very hard. And the images carved on these surfaces are usually animals, things like elephants, tigers, and bulls, occasionally human figures, sometimes deities. Maybe even their rulers. Many of the stamp seals have inscriptions across the top edge, but again, the script of the Harappan people has not yet been deciphered, nor has its underlying language been identified. And I do also want to add that early scholars believed, class, that the Harappans were a very peaceful civilization. However, very recent excavations of a cemetery has led to a different idea. Due to the condition of the people buried there, there might have been more of a violent society that they thought. The decline for the Indus River Valley society, this early society, is going to be in decline due to climate change and flooding. That's what most scholars believe. Class, I'm going to leave you with a short video about Mohenjo-Daro, and I hope it will help bring history to life.
The ancient city of Mohenjo-Daro is one of the first urban centers in human history. Nestled in southern Pakistan's Indus River Valley, Mohenjo-Daro is the largest and best preserved city of the Indus civilization, the earliest known civilization of the Indian subcontinent. Mohenjo-Daro was built around 2500 BC, about the same time the Great Pyramids were being built in Egypt, and it spanned a surface area of nearly 500 acres, an incredible size for a city of this time period. Because of Mohenjo-Daro's grand scale, archaeologists believe it may have served as a seat of power for the Indus civilization. The city was divided into two districts, the Citadel and the Lower Town. The Citadel is home to the city's exceptional monuments, including the Great Bath, a 900-square-foot tank fed from the Indus River. Mohenjo-Daro also had a sophisticated water system. Houses had baths and toilets, and the town featured both an elaborate sewage system and fresh water in 700 wells throughout the city. The Roman baths, some of history's most famous waterway systems, weren't constructed until many hundreds of years after Mohenjo-Daro's Great Bath. Mohenjo-Daro has no places of worship or governance, such as palaces, royal tombs, or temples. This may indicate that the society was not built around state interests like the Egyptian and Mesopotamian societies at the time. Rather, the class structure of Mohenjo-Daro may have been relatively equal. The city's second district, the Lower Town, may demonstrate the society's egalitarian structure. The Lower Town, with its intricate water system, was home to between 20,000 to 40,000 people. Unlike many urban areas of its time, it was laid out in a grid system similar to modern-day city blocks. After approximately 600 years, the city collapsed. No one is quite sure why, but the cause could potentially have been a change within the culture, or in the path of the river. Without its crucial source of water, the city's residents may have moved away, leaving Mohenjo-Daro nearly abandoned. In 1911, nearly 4,000 years after the city fell into ruin, archaeologists paid their first visit. The ensuing decades of excavations have unearthed countless clues that tell the tale of Mohenjo-Daro, but it still holds secrets for us to discover.